Coming to you live from the caverns deep beneath Wayne Manor and totally not from my mom's basement. Welcome to today's episode of the BatChat. Hey guys, what is going on? This is a very different episode of BatChat, but very, very exciting. You can see over in the bottom right-hand side, Mr. Michael Enoch there. Probably couldn't even recognize him with his little raccoon eyes and half a suit there, but it's looking good, looking really good. I'm really excited to see some pictures of that suit. You did an excellent job on it, and we have not one but two very special guests alongside Mr. Enoch. We have his lovely wife, the adorable Miss Lauren Enoch. She's definitely the better half of Bat and the Cat cosplay, if you ask me, but I am slightly biased because I work with Mike. So. And then definitely the main event, the one that most of you guys are very, very excited about, is the lovely Miss Karen Whitfield. In fact, I'm actually going to move this text screen over here because I don't want to be covering you up. That's just not proper. But Miss Karen Whitfield, also known as Live Like Batgirl on Instagram. We're going to go into her history and things like that and different things she's been involved with. And I'm actually going to pretty much let Mike handle most of this, mainly because of some of the sound issues that we've had getting this set up. They're actually doing a live panel right now at Fayetteville Comic-Con. And I am coming from speakers the size of a dime out of his laptop, so I don't think anyone in the panel can actually hear what I'm saying except for the people on stage. So I'm just going to sit here making funny faces while Mike is the one conducting the interview. But I just want to say to Miss Karen and to Lauren, thank you very much for being here and for making this a much more interesting bat chat than it would be if it was just Mike and I. So I really do appreciate you guys.
All right. Yeah, so Derek, glad to be here as always on BatChat. It's kind of becoming a second home for me on Saturday afternoons here. Happy to have Lauren here with me. She doesn't get to peek her head in much, so today you guys get to say hi to the cat side of the Bat and the Cat. But really excited to be here at Fayetteville Comic-Con with Karen Whitfield. Karen's got a very, very amazing story that she's going to give us a little sneak peek at here. That the viewers and listeners can grab her book, Bat Driven West, and find out all of the story and the full details. But we were lucky enough to meet Karen here a few months ago, and now today we're both part of the same Comic-Con here in Fayetteville, North Carolina at Fayetteville Comic-Con. Big thanks to Keith Gibbs for having us out and for arranging for this podcast live. We'll apologize to the folks watching and listening if I happen to ask Derek to repeat himself. We did have some technical difficulties with the sound system here, so I only have the speakers on my laptop, as well as we have a dance party in the ballroom next door to us. So you guys bear with us if any of that's going on. It's not something that really shutting the front doors would help because it's all coming through the side walls because it's just the retractable walls. But anyway, I do want to introduce Ms. Karen Whitfield to you guys. Karen spent 7 years in the late 70s and early 80s on the road with Adam West and Burt Ward as the only person to ever don the cape and cowl of the Bronze Age Batgirl. So Karen, first, welcome to BatChat. This is BatChat. You've heard a lot about it. You've heard a lot about Derek there. Remind the peanut gallery over there on YouTube there, this is a family-friendly show today with folks wandering in and out. So their comments must be kind of kept PG-13. Not
I
going to
pretty
name any
much,
names. I know Kyle's not with us because he's in Cuba.
yeah, he's in
So,
Cuba, and I already blocked Aaron from the chat, so he.
so I also do not. I can't see YouTube today. I could not get my iPad on the Wi-Fi. So you'll have to relay those comments to us as they are appropriate. If they're not, you can text them to me in the Facebook Messenger. So we can all laugh at those. But so Karen, welcome to BatChat. Meet Derek. You've heard a lot
Hi,
about
Derek.
him.
Hi, Derek.
Thanks,
And
Karen.
thank you guys for having me on your show. I really do appreciate it. This is going to be a lot of fun. I've watched a few of your shows. I'm really excited about this.
Oh, it's a huge honor to have you on here. When Mike and I first met, kind of started talking around, or talking about BatChat and everything, he brought up your name, and we kind of said it jokingly, like, man, it'd be really fun to have her on BatChat. Then, who knew that, just a few short weeks later, here you are. So huge honor to have you on here, and to talk about a portion of Batman's history that we don't usually get to talk much about on this channel. But it's very fascinating. I grew up, watching, of course, reruns, but watching the Adam West and Burt Ward TV show. I used to love it when I was a kid, still do. I have a lot of nostalgia for it. So hearing about your involvement with that era of Batman, and I am very biased, but you mentioned the Bronze Age Batgirl suit. That's definitely my favorite iteration of the Batgirl suit. I don't mind the purple sparkly one that was in the show, but I definitely much prefer the one you wore. So it was just that much better, and I'm very, very excited to hear about all the fun stories from on the road.
Great, that's exciting. Well, actually, they really should have had Yvonne in that suit, because it's actually the Silver Age bat suit. But what happened with the show, which is coming in color, they decided to put her in the purple and gold because they wrote the comic in 1967. Before the actual show started, right? Because things come through the comics first. And then when they did do that, they did make the show, and they put her in the purple and gold, and they kept the original, black suit with the blue cape separate. They kept it to the side. So 10 years later, when I met them and started traveling, they decided to go back, instead of skipping over that, to go to really the gray suit with the blue cape. They went on and put me in the black suit with the blue cape. So it really worked, and I was glad. They did that, because now I'm out being able to do that. So been able to travel and talk about it.
Yeah, so we're actually working on getting a speaker so the folks here and the folks coming in can hear you and what's going on here, rather than just hearing us randomly answer questions they're not hearing. But we do have a little different format today, guys. Being live here in a panel room, we've got a hard stop at 4 o'clock, preferably a few minutes earlier, so we can get this stuff broken down. So maybe it's a good thing you muted Aaron, because we know he likes to drag on. And no, Aaron's a great guy. For those of you listening in, we love Aaron to death. Just think the world of him. Derek and I just tend to bust his chops a little bit, because that's just how guys are. But so Karen, tell us a little bit about how you met Adam and Burt and how you became the Bronze Age Batman.
Well, actually, it's like you were mentioning here, a year ago we met, and then you're walking down the same path. Sometimes just paths are put in front of us, and we decided just to take them, because you never know what can happen, right? And that's what happened with me. I had no idea that that was going to happen to me, and I decided to move forward with it when it did. But I met Burt Ward at the Raleigh-Durham Airport at Hertz Rental Car. In September of 1977, just 10 years after the show had ended in 1968, actually. So when I met him, we became very fast friends. So I moved out to California only 3 months later. It was just one of the paths that happened, and I went down it. And then in I'm thinking about the year, January of 1978, I traveled with Burt as Robin. And it was pretty surreal because I'd met him, of course, 10 years before that. I was a little girl and I watched them on the show. But 10 years after that, when I met him as Burt Ward, not Robin. And so when I saw him in the Robin suit, it was pretty surreal, actually. When I first saw him, I was like, whoa, there he is, you know. He's kind of cute, right? And so, and then in March, we flew to Texas and met Adam West, and the two of them were Batman and Robin in some shows, and then I traveled with them another 3 months, and then Adam West asked me, since Yvonne wasn't traveling suited up as Batgirl, he asked me if I would like to be the Bronze Age Batgirl, because it was the era and it was the time, because they had introduced her in 1975. And this was 77 when I met them, and 78 traveling. So he asked if I would like to be the Bronze Age Batgirl, and he was going to contact DC Comics. And of course I said, sure, you know, that sounds fun. I'm here anyway and know a lot about her. So so I was donned the mantle that year. It was around August of 78. And then we traveled 5 years, every other weekend, once a month, you know, all over the country. And then I moved back to North Carolina after 5 years. And then 2 years, I, you know, traveled and met them in different cities. But then at that point, I decided to hang up my Batcave and waited 35 years. And now I'm back out meeting the fans, which has really been fun.
Now, for the traveling, because it's very interesting. I guess I wasn't too familiar about what the nature of the. I guess you were doing random appearances and things like that, and this was after the show had ended.
Right.
So a good 10 years or so after the show had ended. So you guys were still traveling. What were the nature of those travels like? Were you doing like different hospital appearances, schools, things like that? What or cons? I don't know what the con culture was back then. What were you guys doing as the Bat Trio?
Yeah, well, there wasn't cons. It was before Comic Cons came. So when I ended, I think Comic Con started maybe a couple of years after I ended. After I left. I'm not quite sure about that. I think around the late '80s is when the Comic Con started. Yeah. But what we did was car shows, different openings of stores, different, malls were starting to come up, malls, and also fundraisers, like autism, things like that, MS, fundraisers and things. But mainly opening of stores and car shows were a lot of our appearances. But wherever they wanted us, we went. So we were really the original cosplayers. So to see the cosplaying now, it's just really surreal to see how it's grown since we were out doing it. And, even little children weren't even dressed up to come to see us. It was just the three of us. So to see how everybody, that you meet in the cons are dressed up, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
And to know that I was at the beginning of that, it's just batastic.
Batastic. Well, it's such an important part of nerd culture. Because I was thinking about timeline wise, cons didn't really, they weren't very prevalent until like late '80s, early '90s, things like that. So, but it's funny you mentioned car shows, because I have a very early memory of my dad. He used to sell cars and things like that, and I remember those Batman OnStar commercials. Where they would wear like I think it was actually the Panther suit from Batman Forever the George Clooney bat suit. Well, there was at this little bitty car dealership in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, that like no one had ever heard of. There was a guy, I'm assuming he worked for Warner Brothers or DC, kind of in a similar light of what you did, but he showed up in that bat suit from the OnStar commercials because it was some thing they were releasing with the cars at that time, and I remember seeing that as a kid. So that's really cool that was something that you guys were a part of, years before that. So that is really, really cool, and I can only imagine, being in the con circuit now, seeing how that has progressed and seeing how how much of an effect you've had, because I'm sure that I'm sure we'll elaborate later, meeting people that are adults now that, maybe you had met when, they were kids, and, how much of an impact that would have on them for years to come. So I couldn't imagine how cool that must be for you.
Yeah, it really is. And I don't have, unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of cameras back then, so I don't have a lot of pictures of myself with them or with children. But now that people are finding out that I'm back out, they are sending me pictures. So I've had three only sent to me, but I'm sure others will, where these children were small, like 7, 8, 9 years old, and I'm with them. And so they're sending me a copy for myself and then for them for me to sign and send back. And, they're in their like 40s now. And it's just, amazing to see that and receive them, that people are, finding me, and they've kept those pictures all those years too. Really is great to me that they cared enough to keep them because they love the Bat family that much. So I send them back another picture of myself, like one of my professional pictures that I send them as well, just because they kept them, and it's a gift on me. So if anybody has a picture or anybody knows that has pictures of me back then, please send them to me. It'd be wonderful.
Yes, and if you do have one, I've got your not only your website from the Comic Collectors Guild, but also your social media on there.
Okay.
And so if they do have a physical picture, which I guess they would from that era, is there like a P.O. box or something they can send that to, or would all that information be on the website?
Well, they can message me on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll give them the address then.
Perfect.
Yeah,
okay, good.
I'll tell them
So if you have one, definitely check the description box below,
Yeah.
and you'll find all the information for not only Karen but also Mike and Lauren over at Bat and Cat Cosplay, and definitely go give Karen a follow. It's always fun. I'll get little updates and everything, especially leading up to this. You would tag me in something, and I've really been enjoying, seeing every time there's a con coming up and just seeing all those pictures. It's a lot of fun. So I wish I could have been there with you guys today.
Yeah, us too.
We should totally work this out in the future so that we do this again, but with you at a con with us.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely. That would be totally awesome. Just a full-on live production of BatChat from a con with all of us.
I'll be more than happy to wear the Burt Ward Robin suit.
Oh, absolutely. That'd be great.
So, yeah, we
we'll take lots of pictures.
We have an audience question, if you don't mind, Derek.
Yeah.
So, how much direction did you receive from the directors and stuff, the development of the character, or was that kind of like left up to you to figure out?
And I'm going to repeat the question for our viewers. The question was, how much direction did Karen receive from the directors as far as for the development of the character of Batgirl for her appearances, and how did she figure that out and come up with the character?
That's really a great question. Well, actually, there were not any directions from directors. It was from Adam and Burt. So we would put on a little skit in front of the crowd, and there were lots of people then. I mean, and they would have a platform, and they would come out and do these little skits. And basically, they told me, reading the comics, I saw how Batgirl, was in the comics to see what she did and what kind of role. So I sort of put my own implementation to it of, where I feel that she was in my own, character, who I am with the Batgirl, because since they donned the Bronze Age Batgirl mantle for me, I felt like then they trusted me to put what I wanted to put in there. And of course, they also told me what they would like for me to see as well, working with them on stage. So we weren't like in live camera, like, when you're take after take. We were live, period, where you couldn't stop. Hold off. Wait a minute. Let's do this again. We were nothing like that. We were live, in all these cities. So it was pretty interesting to be able to do that, just like on the spot. But we knew what we're going to do. But sometimes, Adam was such a character, he'd switch up and we'd have to sort of follow his lead, and doing something kind of, Adam West Batman. So you can imagine what he was like traveling with him. He was a pretty funny character. Was that a good answer?
Yeah.
Was that okay? Good.
All right. And So we actually have another special guest here. This is one of the folks that Lauren and I have met on Instagram and become good friends with. And she actually lives close to us. This is Evelyn May Cosplay on Instagram. And Evelyn just happened to pop into the panel, so we had her come up here and sit with us. She fits right in with the theme with her Harley outfits. So Evelyn has a question.
I do. What is your favorite memory of traveling with Adam and Burt?
Well, that's a great question. My memory of them will always be the same answer. When I first worked with them, the three of them together, was when Burt and I met Adam in Dallas, Texas. We were traveling from LA. He was traveling, I believe, from Oregon. And we met them in the baggage claim because we were traveling actually from we were going to go to connect to another airline to go to a smaller city. Well, it was a lot of weather problems, so we couldn't get in that way. So they had rented a limo, and I was sitting in. But when I first met him there, and he said, "Well, hello, I'm Adam West," and he takes my hand and just kind of like kisses it, and I'm just looking at him like, I was like flabbergasted, and he was so handsome too, and his way about him, and he just loved to have fun. And so, that was my very first memory, and that was my very first favorite time. And then to be in that limo sitting between the two of them for 3 hours, and he was singing to these songs, changing to his words. That was Pipe It Alone, and it was really a lot of fun to be. And it took me a bit to realize, I was just 20, right? And the two of them, Adam was 49 and Burt was 32, and Burt is a more serious person than Adam. I mean, not to say that Adam's not serious. It's just that Adam loved to play and have fun, and Burt's more, like this, and just to be sitting there, I was thinking to myself, gosh, if my family could see me now, this is just, I'm between Batman and Robin, and it hit me, probably after the first hour. Then I'm sitting there thinking, and I was watching them, and that would be always my very first and favorite memory, because it's the first one too, and you'll always remember that before you will any others too.
So we actually have a microphone here that may help with the whole sound system in the room.
Nice.
So hopefully it'll pick up you. It'll pick up microphone check. Microphone check.
So we don't get feedback.
Yeah, I'm going to try laying this next to the speaker. Derek, if you want to give us a microphone check here.
Yes, I can certainly do that, because we just got a bunch of chats all at once on the live stream. Most of them are troll comments, but one very sweet, genuine one is from Arkham Knight Cosplay saying, Karen Whitfield, totally bedazzled greetings. I don't know I don't know if that's a misspelling, but totally bedazzled greetings from Sweden. So we got people from all over the place. And then we have our favorite Mr. Brooks said, Michael with a shaved face looks like the PE teacher you never wanted to let down.
Aaron, that's great. Love you, buddy. And from Denmark there, that's got to be Christian Lund.
That is him,
Good to see you. Good to have you on here again today, buddy. Christian's one of our biggest supporters on BatChat. He's in there every week and saying hello to us. And so,
hi, Christian.
We're good. Thank you. So, for everybody, sorry about the brief interruption there. We were able to get a microphone so we could hook up to a speaker so the folks in the room could hear Derek and what he's saying on his end. So Karen told us a little bit. You told us a little bit about how you met Adam and Burt, and about your time on the road. So what brought you back to this life after 30 years?
Good question. Well, I never thought that I would come back. I just never thought that I would take this path again. Not because I didn't really want to, not because I didn't love the Bat family. I did, but I wanted to raise my children as a mother and a mom without having Batgirl look over my shoulder, and to travel from all over the country now that I'm doing. I wanted to raise them and get them substantial where they have their own families and life, and now they are. And when I went to visit, I became in touch with Burt's family, his sister and his daughter, and I went to see them in 2016 for like 4 times or something. And then as I was traveling back the last time, I decided, maybe I should get back into this. Maybe, now that I'm back with the Bat family, so to speak, that it just became in my heart to check out the journey and just to see where it takes me, to see if this is really what I want to do again, to see how the Bat fans receive me. And the first Comic-Con that I went to was last June here in Fayetteville. And as soon as I walked through those doors, I never went to a Comic-Con in all those years, because I knew once I walked through the doors, it would just take control of my heart. So I waited, and then when the first one I walked into, honestly, when I walked through those doors, I felt at home, and I've been like that since. And I'm out, and I'm really glad that I'm back. And like my daughter told me, if I didn't come out and tell the story and tell what Adam West and Burt Ward really were like as human beings, because they really were like superheroes in and out of those suits, that it would go to my grave and nobody would know, because I was the only Batgirl that traveled with them. And so I decided to take that journey again and write the story, and I'm very thankful that I did that.
Well, and it's such a it's such a unique era in time, because like Adam West is the only Batman who was Batman on and off screen. Michael Keaton never did, at least to my knowledge, never did anything to the extent that Adam West and Burt Ward did. Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, Robert Pattinson. I don't see Robert Pattinson going to a school, an elementary school, and talking to kids about refraining from violence. I just don't see that happening. But that's such a cool era that my generation and stuff like that totally missed out on. Because when I talked about that memory of meeting the OnStar Batman, it wasn't George Clooney, it wasn't Val Kilmer, it was just some guy who worked for DC or Warner Brothers. Just they sent out, which was pretty common back then, but it wasn't Batman. Whereas the kids that you guys came in contact with, they met Batman, they met Robin, they met Batgirl, the same ones that they saw in the movie and saw on screen. And that's such a unique experience that it's absolutely something that needs to be talked about. And it's something I would love to see happen again. Unfortunately, I don't really see that coming back. So it's just such a great era that I'm jealous of, honestly. And it's just really fun to think about these kids that not only got to see these heroes on screen, but actually got to meet them as those heroes. It's one thing to meet them at a con. Like I remember meeting like Kevin Conroy, who was Batman when I was a kid, and it was really cool to meet him, obviously. But it'd be a little different if it was like, Kevin Conroy like dressed up as Batman in the same Batman that I saw him in. Of course, I know he was animated, but kind of along those same lines. Like that's such a unique experience that it's really fun to hear that there's a whole generation of kids that met their heroes. And my parents and my grandparents would talk about Adam West and Burt Ward and how they were modern day superheroes. And it's really, really cool to hear about that. So I am, kudos to your daughter, because she is absolutely right. These are definitely stories that need to be told.
Yeah, she told me that when she first found out about it herself. She mentioned it, and then she mentioned it when she was 12, and then she mentioned it again when she was a teenager. And I just kept that treasured memory up in a box on top of my closet with things. And then when I came back in 2016, I felt like it was the right time. But everything's always timing. It's all about timing, and it was impeccable timing, because a lot of things have happened since I've come out. During that time. So I felt like it was just meant to be. And also to go back with one of your, I just go back. So when I did travel with them and they done the Batgirl, the mantle for me, I was so appreciative of Yvonne Craig, and I will always honor her, because she was our queen. She is our queen, our Bat Queen, Yvonne Craig. And the fact that we lost her in 2015 was pretty devastating for me too. So then when I went back out in 2016, right after that, and then we lost Adam in 2017, you don't know that these times are going to happen. And then when they do, you think back, wow, it's just amazing, the timing of it all. And so I'll always honor her. And when people send or bring me her Batgirl for me to sign, I sign it in her honor, and I put her name, in the honor of Yvonne Craig, and then I love Batgirl Karen Whitfield because it is an honor. And when I was 10 years old, I was 9 years old when the show started, so I was able to see the original shows on it. So I was 9, and then 10 is when she was introduced to the show in 1967, and to see her for the very first time as Batgirl, I mean, I remember watching her and I felt stronger and braver. I thought, wow, she's just beautiful and all that color. And we thought all that, we didn't know that it was the campy, funny that it is. We took it serious because it was the first time we ever saw superheroes on TV, and really one of the first TV shows that was in color. I don't want to, I'm already aging me. So, but then, and to see her out do that. And then when I was on the mantle, I wanted little girls to see me that way too. I wanted them to come up to me and be so excited that they're meeting a superhero. And I was really excited about that. And my first thought was, I was worried, they would say, you're not the Batgirl from, the show, and you're not Yvonne Craig. But no one ever did that. And I think it's because that's when the Batman Adventures was named, and it was the Batman Family in 1975. And then the Batman Adventures, it was the animated in 1977, January that year. And then I met them in, 77, started traveling in 78. So people understood. They understood the suit, came through the comics. They understood the actual shows that was during that time. And the Bronze Age Batgirl, comics were being printed. So it all made sense that I was through the animated series versus the TV series. So, but what happened is, since I left it for 35 years, now I'm educating people. There is a missing link there, and I'm the only one that ever wore that suit. So it's pretty exciting, that people are meeting me, and, I'm excited to meet everybody as well.
Well, not to, kind of like what you said earlier, you've already kind of aged yourself in terms of talking about when the show started. You have certainly aged like a fine wine, whereas, Mike over there's aging like milk. But no, anyway, so.
Batman, stop, Batman.
No. Hey, I did have a question about the significance of that show, because I'm, dating myself here. I'm a few generations removed from the Adam West TV show. And people my age tend to not have any appreciation for its historical significance, because a lot of people don't know that Batman was very very close to being canceled. The show actually saved Batman in the comics, and not like cancel culture, like that was back before all that. This was back when it wasn't making money, so they were just going to get rid of it. The show worked very hard to bring Batman back to relevancy, but so there's a couple of really cool historical moments that you were able to be a part of. Not only the first real live action Batman. I know there were some serials back in the 40s, but like the first live action Batman. So being able to see that, and like you said, it was one of the first few shows in color. But as a young girl at that time, seeing the first incarnation of Batgirl, how cool that must have been. Because my generation, I remember going to see the Gal Gadot Wonder Woman movie, and it was cool to see a feature length theater or theatrical released Wonder Woman movie. But there had already been Linda Carter, there had already been other generations before that, and like with this new Batgirl movie, there's been other generations. So what was it like being a part of that first generation of not only seeing these heroes on screen for the first time, but also seeing Batgirl, because that's obviously a unique perspective that I can't really relate to. So I'd be curious to hear what that was like for you.
Yeah, as I said, I mean, she blazed that trail for us. I mean, she was the first Batgirl, and everyone, all the little girls, even women, saw that she did that, and she went out there and and was the first superhero to be live, first live incarnation superhero. And it just made us, I know us little girls, feel stronger and braver. And I mean, I'll never forget the first time I saw her on there. And to mention what you said is the ratings were going down, and that's why they wrote the comic for Batgirl to be in that show to help the ratings. And it did for a bit of time, but then of course it did end. So, but then the show ended, but it's still showing, you could buy the movies, it's still showing on reruns 58 years later. So, I mean, it's amazing how that 3-year period has, done all the comic world, and it was the beginning of all the comic world. And it's just amazing that no one knew that would ever happen. So in my book, my first chapter was knock the ball out of the park, because they did. I mean, they knocked the ball out of the park of doing everything that they've done for the comic world. So, to me, Adam West and Burt Ward and Yvonne Craig, and I'm glad I'm that next generation, or next decade, the next decade right after them, that I've been able to see this, and that happened, and they went with it, like the comic world went with the Comic Cons and more comics and things like that. So.
Yeah, and we owe so much to that show. Like I was alluding to earlier, kids my age, don't have a lot of appreciation for it. Like, oh, it's goofy. Why is there Bam, Wow, Biff, Pat, all that stuff. I want Batman to be dark and gritty. I'm like, yeah, there's a time and place for that. But like I'm wearing, you can barely see it, like the shirt from the new Batman movie. People don't realize, for one thing, how many homages there are to the Adam West series in the new movie. But we wouldn't have this if it wasn't for Adam West. You wouldn't have Ben Affleck, Christian Bale, any of those guys. They would not have ever, not only because it played a significant role in their childhood, but just in the mainstream world. Like, if it wasn't for you use the term trailblazing, which is absolutely what it was. If it wasn't for what happened in that era, say what you want about it, it's so significant historically speaking, and we wouldn't have Batman today if it wasn't for that.
Yeah. Right. And look at, like you're saying, the era, 1966 when it came out. I mean, look at that era. It was light. It wasn't dark. It was light. Everybody was, live and let live kind of thing. It was fun and happy in the 60s. Everything was somewhat innocent. That was just the beginning of, and then it's become darker. So, it's in the time that it was. If people can think in their mind the time that it was that it came out, they might not think it's so, funny and goofy and campy. I mean, we thought it was kind of real. We'd come home and we couldn't wait to turn on the TV and, from school and see what was going to happen. It was same bat channel, same bat time, same bat channel. Like, what's going to happen tomorrow? Are they going to be freed from the, the ropes? Are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? We were so excited to find out, and just to see it in color. I mean, oh my gosh, it was just beautiful. So, you're right about that. If they could take a step back in time and realize that they were the beginning. If it wasn't for them, we would not be here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you're here now. So, you've taken this incredible journey now with writing your book. And hand me the book for a moment. So for you guys watching with us, if it'll show up, let's see if we get a little closer. Nope, it just does not like the book.
Hold it in front of you.
In front of your face.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Bat Driven West. You guys can find it on Karen's website. Look for her on Instagram. There are links there. It's on Amazon, I believe. You guys can order that book. She would love for you to have that and read it. And she tells you all about her journey in those years, and that led her to this coming out of the Bat Cave and telling her story again. So what has been your favorite part of that journey of getting back out here and meeting people and telling your story? Is there any memory in particular over the course of the last year that stands out to you?
Good question. Just to see the love of the Bat family, of the Bat people that love Batman and people that love even Batgirl, and they're so excited to meet us. Just to see that and just to see where it went. From where I left it to where it is now. I mean, it's just huge. And and the people that I've met are so nice and gracious and just sweet. I mean, if our world could be like the comic world, oh my goodness, they can be who they want to be, no matter who they are, wear what they want to wear, and just walk out and be free like the comic con world. We would be in a very happy place, not like what's going on in the world now. So I think superheroes, all of the cosplayers that play the superheroes, they're superheroes in their hearts, because that's why they're playing those parts. Even though the villains, we have to have villains too, and they're also their own super villains in their hearts. I have Catwoman and Harlequin women. Even though they're villains, they're also super villains. I mean, they are nice villains compared to some of the really real villains out there. So I mean, if everybody could be like that, just have something to resonate with, just so they can just live happy and just it's just fun. And to know that I'm one of the original cosplayers is just amazing to me, to be able, because I sit back and grin. I sit back and just I have this smile in my heart to see this now, and it's just amazing. And I know Burt and Adam felt the same way, knowing where we came from, knowing what we experienced, and then to see it now, it's just it's so surreal. And I'm glad to be out here and to be able to witness it again. And I'm glad I made the decision that I made, and now there's no turning back. So I'm out as long as I can possibly be out. So.
And if you guys ever get to a con that Karen is going to be appearing at, absolutely get by the table. You're not going to find a more welcoming and warm person. She's almost like adopted Lauren and I over the last few months since we connected.
I love
it. It's just great to sit there with our table beside hers today and watch her just constantly, one person after another. She doesn't get a break, and she takes as much time with each person as they need to feel like they've gotten, the full Batgirl experience. But she's just steady all day long. So people are loving her story. People are coming back excited to see her again after seeing her last year. You guys definitely, if you get the chance,
come and meet me.
Come and say hi.
I want to meet you.
Reach out to your Comic-Cons. Tell them you want to see Karen Whitfield at your Comic-Cons.
Yes.
Let them know that you want her there to meet her in person because of her story.
Yes, and write to them. Let them know, because I'll come. I promise I'll come.
We need to trade places. I'll have you come to a con in Arkansas, and I'll be the one conducting the interview, and Mike can be joining us virtually.
I would be glad to do that. Absolutely. But yeah, going back to to that, where was I going with this?
You're just talking about how you kind of come back out, and now you're here and people love it.
Oh yeah, the book. He was saying that you could buy the book at Amazon. Yes, you can. But if you will follow me at Live Like Batgirl and private message me, and let me know you want a book. I'm working on a website now where you can order the things that I sell on my table through the website. But until then, write to me and tell me you want to buy one, and I'll be glad to mail it and sign it. Because Amazon, you're not going to get my signature. But let's just say if you do buy one on Amazon, then bring it to my table wherever I am that you're living, and I'll be glad to sign it free of charge. I'll be glad to do that. But in the meantime, if you write me and let me know you want to buy one, I'll be glad to mail it to you and have it signed.
Absolutely.
Or sign it.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because we did just have a chat in here. Christian over at Arkham Knight Cosplay, does Miss Karen ship her book to Europe? I would imagine Amazon would fulfill that order, but just in case, it would definitely be much better to order it directly, especially to get a signature. I mean, that would be even better.
We have some weird shipping to you, Christian, something you requested a while back. So if you want to reach out to Karen and buy a copy of the book, we'll get it from her and put it in with that item you requested from us.
There you go.
But to answer that also, yes, I will ship to Europe. The only thing, shipping over there is very expensive. I'll have to charge the shipping to you, but I'll be glad to send a book over there. Yes.
That's awesome. I should have had the forethought. I do have the book because I know I've seen it before, and then when Mike mentioned having you on the show, I went and bought it again because I could have swore I had it, and I went and bought it again. And I'm sitting here looking around my desk, and I think I have it in one of the other rooms. So I'm sorry. I should have used a little more forethought. But
Well, Derek, we're running out of time here because there's another panel scheduled to start at 4. Before we go, recently a sketch artist / caricature artist reached out to Lauren. They connected on one of the Facebook groups. He's actually here, and the con organizer came by and brought us this awesome caricature that he did of Lauren and I. And his name is Ben Gordon, B. Gordon Studios at gmail.com. B. Gordon Studios at gmail.com. He does great artwork, great caricatures. So wanted to give him a big shout out. Thank you for that, Ben. I hope you're watching right now from your table, and we appreciate it, and just want to give him a little shout out here as we're winding this episode of BatChat down a lot sooner than we normally do.
But I greatly appreciate you, Miss Karen, for being on here. It was an honor to meet you, and an absolute honor to hear your story. And definitely would love to have you back. Whether I can sweet talk the Arkansas Comic Con guys to get you to come down or something like that, or whatever. It'd be great to meet you and talk to you again soon. Again, for those of you watching, you can check in the description below this video and find her website as well as her social media. Do yourself a favor, go follow her social media. She's always posting very sweet, uplifting things and things from different cons, and just absolute joy to be around. I'm very jealous of Mike and Lauren. And again, just thank you so much for coming on here, telling your story. If you want a book, you can get it on Amazon. Like I said, it is linked in the description below for you to check that out. But I would definitely recommend messaging her directly. That way, you can get a signed copy. It's definitely worth it. It's a great book and goes into further detail of her story. So thank you so much for being on here. And I wish we could talk for a little longer, but I'm just glad to be a part of this.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Derek.
Have a good day.
Good to talk to you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, see y'all later. So I'm going to
See you guys.
See if I can get over to the other screen. Oh, hey, it actually worked. So we can't see them anymore, but I think Mike is actually ending our Skype call, so they won't be able to see me anymore, probably luckily for them. But guys, thank you so much for watching this episode of BatChat. It's been a huge honor to have the lovely Miss Karen Whitfield, as well as Lauren and I guess Mike too. But it was fun to have them on here and hear about that story. Definitely go check out the links in the description below to check out their social media. Check out Karen's social media specifically. I do have Mike's in there too, I believe. And definitely go check that out and order a book and learn more about her story, because she is not only an absolute sweetheart, has an amazing story and a lot of really cool things in that book. So I would definitely check it out. Arkham Knight Cosplay, I send the money to Mike for the book if that's possible, or you, Derek. Talk to Mike about that. So yeah, talk to Mike about getting that book, especially if he's already got something for you. If he's already got something for you, then I would just get it with him, and he can get that taken care of for you, and probably even have her sign it before they get it. So Derek, as always, good BatChat. Thanks, bud. Hey, that's awesome, man. I think it was a great BatChat. I'm very excited about it. I'm actually going to go ahead and end it a little earlier as well, because I've got a gig this weekend that I need to get ready for, and my office is an absolute wreck. Yeah. Got a lot of stuff I'm working on. Also, gonna see if I can get a little work done on some suits. I'm actually taking a little time to work on my suit because I don't have one. So I need to finish my suit. I don't know if you can see my sewing machine and stuff set up back there. So been doing some work on that. So check out my Instagram if you want to see some updates on that. If I remember to post updates on it, that is. But thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all have a blessed day. We'll see you next week for another episode of BatChat, 2 p.m. Central Time every Saturday. And feel free to check us out and check out all the fun social media links in the description below. But until next time, wait. watch us next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Y'all have a blessed day, and we'll see you next week.